Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are going to be discussing mistakes and how you can get more information from them and how you can become more resilient from them. We have a saying in the dance studio, in the dance world, and it's called "the show must go on." And that is to acknowledge that mistakes are always happening. Mistakes are always being had by professional dancers and inexperienced dancers and part of the production team. Like there's just always things that are happening. And this is why we talked about, I think on episode 6 around there, about rehearsing your F up, because there's so much that can be recovered when you can keep your composure. We also have a saying at the studio and it's called "get the F there." And it's really about just that, like getting there, getting to your next landmark, getting to your next moment, and fooling the audience in a way with your inside face staying inside and your outside face staying outside. For those of you who don't know, the inside face is like the, oh my God, what just happened face? And the outside face is, this is what's happening. This is my accidental solo, and enjoy it. So over the weekend, I had 2 gigs. One was on Saturday, one was on Sunday, and they both were poppin', high energy dance floors, really fun. I felt, really, really good about both of them, both of the dance floors. Though there was something that happened on the Sunday wedding that was very unique. And in the 8 years of DJing, this has never happened before. So it all started out with me setting up my equipment and getting things ready and then getting into my sound checks. So I do my sound check. I check the music volume, I check the mic volume over the music, and then I check the mic without music. So I like to be very thorough with this, and it's always kind of funny too when I'm doing the sound check, because once the bodies are actually in the room, things change greatly. And even though it changes like that, it's still so important to me to run the full sound check just so I feel good about it. Now, once I turned the volume down and I was speaking through the microphone, both microphones, I was getting this very unique sound. It wasn't feedback. It was just a really weird sound. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So did some troubleshooting, looked at some chords, checked each speaker, decided to change the channel frequency on my microphone, and it still did it. It was definitely unique. So then I resort to, okay, I did everything I know how to do. Let me call whoever I can call right now and see if they can help me. So I typically call my friend Jeff, shout out DJ Frenchie, and he's awesome. So I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. And he was like, okay, well, did you change the channel? And I was like, I'll change it again. And so I'm changing the channels. I'm on the phone. I was like, can you stay with me on the phone? And he was like, yeah. And change the channel and everything's fine. We're good. We're golden. Then I go to my ceremony setup, which if you know a wedding, you know that there's different locations on site that have different setups from a DJ. So I have my other setup already set up, and I'm checking my microphones again outside, and I hear the sound. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to change the channel until I get a clean channel. So I'm changing the channel, and I still get it a little bit, but it's not that bad. So I'm like, okay, things will be all right. So I do the sound check with the officiant and everything goes well. We're good. We're golden. And then I'm noticing that fast forward 3 hours, basically, when we're doing our second round of speeches, and I'm noticing this sound coming in again. And I'm like, okay, well, this is unique. One, we've already announced that speeches are about to happen, so it's not like I can go and change channels now. 2, I can't exactly go and grab a different system or a different anything at this point because we're already in the flow. So I do what I do best, which is crowd control and get people excited about the speech. So I tell our speaker, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to go over here, and I find her a new location that's going to be good for the photographers and everything. And so it was really just thinking and moving on the fly. And we're good. We're golden. We don't have any of that noise anymore. And I'm still questioning, okay, well, why was that happening? What is that? Number one, if it's not feedback, if I change my channels more than once, then what is it? So it boils down to, I tell Jeff that it happened again. I tell my other DJ friend it happened again. And I'm like, okay, well, this is strange. I don't know the answer. And one, just getting in touch with that as the answer is, I don't know the answer. So if you're like me and you happen to beat yourself up about everything, then you're going to be like, well, how do you not know the answer? And this comes up at dance a lot when people are learning a choreography. They don't know the answer, meaning they don't have the memory intact for the answer to come out, for the answer, which is the next steps or the next movements or how to transition. Any of those types of things could be the answer, depending on the night, depending on the student, depending on the choreography. But let's just go with memory for an example. So you're doing your routine, you're getting in there, you're doing everything that you can remember, and yet you're still not remembering something. It's not coming to you. You do not have the answer. And what that builds is frustration. And what that also builds is a nice hole for you to lie in. And unfortunately, we don't want to accept that it's just like, okay, I don't know this, and move on from it. In that moment, I just couldn't accept, I don't know what this is, and move on from it. Moving on from it would have been like, okay, I just say like, well, that's a fluke. That's a weird situation. Like, I don't know what that was. I could deduct a lot of things though. I mean, we had a lighting designer that night and there was frequencies on his lights that he was using. So there could have been some interference there. There was a garage. So there was like metal and concrete, not usually the best materials for transmitting signals. And at the same time, I don't exactly know. And even this information, this fun little piece that I'm about to share with you, I still don't know if this is the exact answer, because I would need to create the exact same situation again with my equipment and the other person's equipment, and maybe even the signals of what was going on in that surrounding area that day. Because, airports, security people, like everyone's on different channel frequencies. So there could be a lot of interference. So what I ended up learning, and this is kind of like the lesson of the podcast, is to find out, to figure out, and to also like not blame yourself for not knowing. So I found out because I actually had to take my speaker in for a tune-up, let's say. Not really sure what's going on with the speaker, but something that's making it sound differently. Maybe it's all related. Who really knows? But the sound engineer, the sound technician, I actually don't know his title. He was telling me about something called squelch. And I'm like, I've never heard of that before. And it's just a funny name. And so what I've come to learn is that there's a knob on my receiver of my microphone that I can turn up in order for interference from other channels to go down. Now, the one con to this really is that the range of my microphones might not be as far of a range. So in other words, the longer, the broader the frequency, the more interference. The shorter the frequency, the less interference. So what that means is from the base receiver of my microphones to wherever someone's speaking, that distance is that range. So it will increase or decrease depending on the squelch level. At that moment, had I known this, I could have changed the dial in the back of the receiver, which, it's the back of the receiver, and just kind of like left the settings the way they were. However, had I changed the squelch, I may have, and this is where it kind of gets frustrating, is we don't really know if that would have fixed it. In fact, it might not have, because the interference might have been so intense. So the bottom line is you don't know. And sometimes it's okay to not know. And in the case of dance, you forgot the steps. And you're also rehearsing this dance once. The way we do it at my studio is I teach a different choreography every day. So if you were my student and you were coming to class every day, you would learn a new choreography every time you came into the room. Now, a lot of the moves are going to be similar. However, the structure, the transition, the beat, the timing, the dynamic is all going to be different. And that's what makes choreography so interesting. So when you come and you're putting this big amount of pressure on yourself to get it after rehearsing it for 2 hours, you're putting extreme amounts of pressure on yourself to get it right and to do it correctly. And sometimes, as I've learned from my experience I just shared with you, it's nice to be able to just let it go and just say, well, I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know about squelch, and now I do. Well, I didn't know the move, and now I do. Or what is it about that move sequence that I keep forgetting? And that can happen, and that's happened to me as a dancer as well. When I go into another class, like when I take my little New York City trips or LA trips and I take classes, I'll like forget a part. And it could be because it's just so opposite of what my muscle memory wants to do. Or maybe like my weight change is just slightly different. Or just like my mind is running like a mile a minute and I'm not able to keep up at that moment. It's fast for me. And my biggest advice for a beginner dancer is to just own it. Own that you forgot it. Love that you forgot it, because now that means that you get to learn. Imagine if you came to class and you just knew all of it, and you always knew it. It would be boring. It would be so boring for you. So enjoy the moments that feel like it's tricky, that feel like you're on the verge of defeat, that feel frustrating. Because I know how badly you want to know. In that moment, I wanted so badly to know the answer. What was going to make this noise stop? Was it where I was standing? Was it actually about the channel? Was it like there were so many questions I had, and it just wasn't the time for me to figure it out. The wedding was in motion. The show must go on. So when you're dancing and you forget, it's not the time to figure it out. Time to figure it out is in rehearsal, in practice. When you're in your run and you're in your performance mode, stay in your performance mode. Keep everything on the inside. All your questions, all your thoughts, and keep your outside projecting, because what you can do as a dancer is hold yourself in stillness while you're forgetting something and jump right back into it. Or a couple weeks ago, we were doing this routine and I forgot maybe like 12 counts of the routine. And I was so confidently going on with the routine. I was just like, nope, this is what it is. That everyone behind me started doing what I was doing, even though it was dead set wrong. It was not the right movement at all. And then I was like, oh my God, I think I just missed like more than 8 counts. and we laughed because they were like, well, you were doing it. Because I kept myself in the act. The show must go on. I stayed with it. So you get to do the same. And then later you get to have your questions and be like, okay, wonder what it was that was making me forget that part. Or in this case, I wonder what it was that was making all that noise. Because when you feel awkward or you feel like frustrated or you feel like something is not right, it's data. And we get to lean into that and learn from it. I don't know when I would have learned about the squelch feature if this never happened before. And I do know the next time I ever hear that, maybe in the next 8 years, maybe I'll hear it again. I'm not wishing that upon myself, but it's possible that I could hear it again. And this time I'll know what to do and I'll do something different. So my strategy was, in this case, it was to move the person speaking far away from the speakers. And that seemed to work. But that also meant that I limited myself on the mic for the rest of the night because I was scared of that noise happening over the music, even though during my sound check, that sound never came out. That sound only came out in silence, but it still made me feel uneasy. So maybe in my next time, I'll be able to be like, okay, well, let's try the squelch now. Okay, well, maybe, you know what? Maybe we're just going to use a corded mic. And, ooh, that makes me feel like that's a corded mic in 2025. And that might be the best solution for that venue or for whatever was going on. And we'll never know because we cannot create that exact day again. We can try. And I can still like use all of the so it's kind of like when you're a dancer, you have a toolkit and you just pull out your different tools. Like, okay, I messed up. I forgot the choreo. Oops. What now? Well, you know what? This time, let me like rummage through my toolkit. I'm going to pull out stillness. This time I'm going to own it. I forgot the move. And if you're watching right now, you can see that my face is calm. I'm not like going like this. I'm making faces. Your F up face, right? It's completely inside. Or maybe instead, I'll go into my toolkit and I'll pull out, repeat a move. And I'll repeat the move that I just did, or maybe a move that I already did until I can get back on my landmark. Maybe instead, I'm going to pull out my get the F there moment. And then I'm going to be really in tune with my listening skills so I can hear what's next. Which also means that while you're learning the routine, you'll be very in tune with those moments so that you know where they are, because those are going to be the outline of your routine. The mistakes are part of the process, and they're also the best teaching moments. I remember this time we had this class and there was just so many mistakes happening during one part, and we broke it down and we went through. And for someone, it was the transition. For the other one, it was I like keep turning the incorrect way. For someone else, it was the timing. So much information was shared once I was able to see, she's making that same mistake. It all looks like the same mistake. It all looks like, okay, they're all making mistakes at this part. And when you look further, you can find more details. So I found like, okay, she was having trouble with the transition. Let's figure out how we can help her with that. Her timing, it was just her timing. She understood what the movement was. She didn't forget it. It was just her timing. Okay, we can work with that. We can go over timing stuff with her. And, she was getting turned around. Now I can go over body awareness with her body awareness of herself in relationship to the audience. So those are 3 different skills, but the same mess up. So mistakes give you more information. So the next is the resilience. So when you have a routine, or even like there's been times on stage where I've been like, ooh, I kind of like messed that up a little bit. You build this resilience towards being able to understand that the show must go on. And it's never going to feel good like making a mistake on stage. It really isn't. And even in that moment where that noise was happening, like I know everyone in there, all 100 and whatever people, they all heard the same noise I was hearing, which was like, ooh, that's like not a good sound. And it was definitely like, I wish I didn't have to tell the matron of honor to stand on the other side. I think she had wanted to speak from the dance floor, which is just ironic. So if I had just like stuck to that, that probably wouldn't have even happened. But then I wouldn't have learned about squelch. So here we are. So when you're able to recover from moments that feel uneasy like that, like for example, when you forget the routine and you're on stage and then you like remember it, you did that. You came out of it. And chances are people are just going to forget it. They might like recognize it and be like, oh, did they? But then you keep going and it's like it never happened. Because if you can fool them so good, it's as if it was supposed to happen. There's a lot of different muscles that we work on the dance floor. Obviously, the muscles that you know about, the ones in the human body. We also work our memory muscle. And in this case, we're working our bounce back muscle. This is the muscle that helps you bounce back into the routine. The muscle that allows you to be like not digging yourself in a hole, because that can happen. One thing can happen and it can go wrong and you don't like the way it feels. And now you're living in that energy, the energy of that was wrong. That was not it. I'm bad. And then you keep thinking that. And then guess what? Raise your hand if this has ever happened to you when you forget part of the dance and then you get in that mindset and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to forget this part. Oh, now I forgot this part. And then before you know it, you forgot the whole thing. Versus bouncing back quick and just being like, okay, I messed that part up, but here we go. I'm going through it. No one saw. We're going on to the next thing. Being able to work that muscle is just as important as being able to work your quads or your upper body to execute the movement. Because without being able to execute the bounce back, you're going to be stuck doing the same mistakes and not being able to get yourself out of it. Resilience doesn't come from when everything's perfect. It usually comes from when everything's not perfect and when things are just kind of like, oh no, what just happened? Being able to come out of that with a smile on your face is the real goal. We get to be problem solvers as dancers. And what that means is making things look seamless, even when they're not. It's figuring out the path of least resistance to get to the next move. So again, reaching in your toolbox, being able to be like, okay, I messed that up. And showing that your face doesn't care. Showing that perhaps you had a accidental solo. And showing that later on, when you're off stage, you'll get the opportunity to investigate and be like, how did I mess that up this time? Or what happened that I just forgot that? It could be that a move is similar to another move right before it or after it. It could be that you got turned around or you got distracted. If you got distracted, now you might work on staying focused. How are you going to stay focused? How are you going to let your eyes track when you're doing your routine? My favorite tool to use with my dancers to strengthen their resilience is improvisation, hands down. It's the best formula for creating dancers who can be confident on stage with whatever curveball is thrown on them. Because in that moment, you can do whatever you can. It could be that you changed your level. It could be that you turned around. It could be that you improvised by adding a movement in that wasn't even there to begin with. It could mean that you walked a couple more steps and you just waited until your cue happened. Improvising is some of the best work that you'll see dancers do, because that is what a mistake is. A mistake is a curveball that happens and your reaction to it. And because there can be all different types of curveballs and all different types of mistakes, your reaction could be different every time. And that's the improvisation, is how will I handle this one? How will I go about managing that? There was a performance this year that we did, and there was kind of like this dead part in the stage where it was kind of like, it wasn't like a hole in the stage, but it kind of like felt like that. And I ended up landing on it and like my heel wiggled. But it was like, okay, like it didn't really send me. It could have though. If I was a little bit like less experienced, it probably could have sent me and I could have messed up and forgot something, because anything like that when you're on stage that happens can throw you. So when I was DJing this past weekend, that could have thrown me. In fact, it did throw me. I was definitely like, oh no. The fact that I was able to move the person so quickly, I just improvised on the spot. I was like, okay, let's do it. We're going to move her somewhere else. And we're going to make it seem like it's beautiful. Oh, come with me. We're going to stand over here. Boom, problem solved. Oh, look at me. I just made a mistake and I just forgot my dance. But I just was able to do this move. Problem solved. And that's what we're always doing as dancers. We are solving problems on stage, which is funny because when you sign up for dance, I don't think you're thinking you're signing up to be a problem solver. And that's why when you learn to improve your skills in improvisation, it doesn't quite feel like you're problem solving. It just feels like you're dancing. And it really feels so powerful because you know you have the ability to handle anything that comes at you. So today I invite you to think of a moment where you either A, made a mistake, B, forgot a dance, C, you had a moment where you were led to more information, and think about like, how would I handle that situation now with the information that I know? Or if I forgot the dance tomorrow, what could I resort to? What tool could I pick out of my dance toolkit? Or if I was on stage and this happened, what would I do? And practice what the outcome could be. See what it would feel like. See if you can send yourself in a visualization where it would feel like, okay, is it the worst thing in the world if I forgot this dance? No. Probably not. And that's why I encourage you at your next dance class, when you mess up, I want you to make so light of that situation that it's as if it wasn't even a thing. So if you forgot it and then you kept forgetting that part, I want you to just be like, okay, this is the part that I'm forgetting today, and move on. And don't let yourself live in that little hole, the hole of doom, because if you go down too far, it's harder to get out. So own your mistakes and find more information and enjoy having more resilience because of it. If you enjoyed this, it would mean the world to me if you could share it with a friend. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.